What's up, family, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, for those of you who've been hanging out with us for a while, we've made quite a few changes and advancements over the past year. Well, it hasn't even been a full year yet. We started kind of sharing some of this content um, in January, or really at the end of January, closer to February, right after my first interview with Stacy's mom on the Stacy's Mom podcast with Stacy and D, which was absolutely phenomenal. Shortly after that, I was able to be interviewed with Harmonic Atheist Tim Mills. And then literally, I actually did a interview with Brady Goodwin before everybody, but that one was pre-recorded. So that was released a little later, but it has just been just an absolutely phenomenal ride. It's been absolutely bananas, and it's been absolutely busy. As you can all tell, I think right now, and I don't say this braggadociously, but I think I likely put out more content than anybody else on the subject. And I am being somewhat facetious there because I know there's some people out there who are just slanging content left and right. But for me to go from not doing any of this to just pumping it out left and right, it's been crazy. And I think I did somewhat have an unfair advantage, being the fact that for 10 years I've been keeping this stuff to myself. So by the time I was ready to talk, I had a lot to talk about. And I just want to express, an extreme amount of appreciation and gratitude for those of you who have, just showed up and supported, and that, that's amazing to me. And it's not lost on me that for many of you, the reason you're supporting the work that we're doing on this channel is because this work resonates with you. It's because you identify with some of the ideals, if not the majority of the ideals that we kind of promote on this platform and on this channel. And so I thank you, and I continue to implore you to help us help each other. That's how we move forward. Well, I have a new topic today, and I want to delve into it a little bit. Before we do, please make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Consider hitting that alert notification bell so you can be notified. When we put out new content. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you. That's preacher talk right there. But let's see here. What else? Consider joining our community. You can do so on Patreon, our YouTube membership program. I just recently found out, because I've told you, I am brand spanking new to Discord. So apparently the Discord link that we've been using was one that expired. I had some great help yesterday from some new friends who said, yeah, you can update the link so that you can send out a link that doesn't expire. So we'll be updating our descriptions with those links fairly soon. Also, let me see here. Let me make sure. Oh, and merchandise. We have some of the best merchandise in the game. If you really want to wear something that's going to send a clear message, we have something for you. We have some shirts and hoodies and decals with some slogans that we think are really helpful. One is think responsibly, which I'm sure you see on this channel every now and then. And then the other one is Sacred Cow Grill Masters. I think that one is just delightful. And then we also have another line called Keep Rising. Okay, so I think have I done all of my work? Have I done all, we don't have any sponsors yet, so that's our way of sponsoring ourselves. All right. Okay, so let's kind of jump into this. What I want to talk about today is basically just the objectivity of God, or the idea that anything from God is objective. And so to begin, I want to highlight a few key transformative abilities that are often attributed to God within the Abrahamic faiths. And some of these will sound familiar. And I think just by getting through these transformative abilities, for many of you who are already critical engagers, you will automatically see the issue. For those of you who have eyes and cannot see, and ears and cannot hear, you're probably just going to get mad. All right, so let's kind of do this. Here are these 4 key transformative abilities attributed to God within Abrahamic faiths. Are you ready? The first one is God can make wrong things right. The second one is that God can make right things wrong. The third thing is that God can make foolish men wise. And the fourth is that God can make wise men foolish. These are very interesting claims and claims that I wrestled with throughout the majority of my time as a believer and as a practitioner of the faith. These claims illustrate two very significant points that should be carefully considered. Number one, there is no objectivity in God's demonstration or in the application of morality by God's followers, evidenced by that God can make wrong things right and God can make right things wrong. No objectivity there. But then there's also no objectivity in God's demonstration or in the application of intelligence by God's followers. Objectivity. I didn't say that intelligence was absent. I just said there's no objectivity in it, which does bring us to another question. A conversation that I will be having on this channel is, how is it possible for intelligent people to believe in God? And one of the things that I like to remind people of is that we are all intelligent people. I think that's one of the misnomers of intelligence that our species does not quite understand yet, that intelligence is very much a spectrum, and there really isn't one of us who isn't intelligent outside of just extreme disability, which I haven't seen to that extent yet. So intelligence is something that we all have. I think one thing that we've reminded people on in our Sunday sessions is that we are all smart in some areas and we are all stupid in some areas, which means we all have something to share and we all have something to learn. So I am not saying that people who believe in the Abrahamic faiths are not intelligent. I am saying there is no objectivity in their intelligence. And because there is no objectivity in their intelligence, then there really isn't a great way for them to recognize the dissonance between believing in foolish things and believing in sound things, because there is no objective method to actually get to those things. And you will often hear this communicated by people who kind of share that space in life, is that I know these things based off of this way of knowing, but when it comes to this religious relationship or this spiritual relationship, I am using a different way of knowing. This is subjectivity at its finest. Okay, so consequently, any assertion that God is objectively moral or objectively intelligent is unsubstantiated. Therefore, claims of objective morality or intelligence derived from a source characterized by such fluid subjectivity are untenable. The listed abilities of God presents a dynamic and omnipotent nature. However, they also imply that what is considered moral or wise can be altered at God's discretion, challenging the notion of a fixed, universal, or otherwise objective standard. For example, the God who says thou shalt not kill is also a God who commands to kill, both pre and post 10 commandments. Hello. Both God's actions and the corresponding human interpretations lack objectivity. This point underscores glaring inconsistency in applying moral and intellectual standards, as they may change either based on divine will or human understanding of divine will. Which just take a look at history, at how often Christians change their minds based on the objective Bible about the spectrum of what is objectively right or wrong. Yeah, this is like these are things in my mind, which is why sometimes I just find it foolish to even cling on to these ideas, is because Christianity, at least I can speak for, because, hey, that's what I've been a part of, and that's what I've developed, that's what I've dedicated my life to as a student and as a follower and as a disciple. But I can say, when you look at the history of Christianity, you can find no objectivity as far as what it pertains to what is right and what is wrong. In the same way that the God who says, "Thou shalt not kill," also commands to kill, the believer does the same thing. The same believer who says, "Thou shalt not kill," has no problem with killing. There's no objectivity in this. There's no objectivity to be found in the Bible, nor is there any objectivity to be found in the believer. All right, that was a strong statement, but I think you know what I meant. So if God's nature and actions are inherently subjective, as we've seen, then deriving objective principles of morality and intelligence from such a source is highly problematic, as we consistently see. Over the past 1,200 years, Christianity has been a clear and persistent threat to human well-being at economic, individual, and social levels. I challenge the claim that the Abrahamic faiths provide a solid foundation for universal ethical standards, chiefly because, historically, we have not seen the demonstration of such objective standards. We've heard the elocution, but we have not witnessed the demonstration. And to be clear, we've never had any evidence that anything objective flows from any of the Abrahamic faiths, as they exist in three subjectively competitive faiths, with Christianity splintering into more than 47,000 different deviations. Nothing could be further from established objectivity. So I don't even know why we entertain this conversation. Those are my thoughts. Until divinity is objectively defined, divinely inspired morality is incompatible with objectivity. Those are just my thoughts on the matter. And of course, that's all this is. This is me sharing my thoughts after 2+ decades of experience in ministry, after 2+ decades of really seeking God with my whole heart, desiring to be in his temple, to inquire of him. This is where my inquiry has led me. It has led me to atheism. In all of my getting, I sought to get understanding. And now I feel like I have that understanding in the areas that I was seeking it in. And that's what I seek to share on my channel. Again, not to convince anybody else. I find that to be somewhat of a fruitless endeavor. If I have to convince someone, then I haven't done a very good job with enabling them with the tools to understand. Convincing is what you have to do to someone in the absence of a how to know. And so I'd much rather just have conversations that stimulate people's interest and perhaps helps them get interested enough to try to know, instead of trying to be convinced. I would say that you need no one to convince you of anything. If anything, we are all capable of getting understanding. And that's what I encourage everyone to do. And that's what conversations help us do. Conversations help us get an understanding. It helps us entertain thoughts that we likely would not have entertained before. It gives us new information to wrestle with. And to be clear, this is how intelligence evolves. Intelligence evolves with the wrestling with, that's preacher talk, with the wrestling with of new information. And where we have encouraged a society to live on outdated models of knowledge acquisition, we have enabled a people to not see their own capacity, greatness, to not see their own agency, to not see, again, their own capacity to make a difference in their own lives. This is why I share content, because I want people to have information to wrestle with, whether they agree with it or not, whether they're convinced by it or not. My goal isn't to convince anybody. This is me. As a matter of fact, I'm not looking for people that I have to convince. I'm looking for people who already resonate, for people who say, nope, this shit makes sense to me. This is what I'm looking for in life. These are the type of conversations I want to entertain. And I am so grateful that we've been able to find so many of you and build so many wonderful relationships. Okay, As you can see, it's been a long week for me. My voice is about shot. But man, I had to record this, and I hope you found some value in this conversation. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the alert notification bell, consider joining our community, consider volunteering in our community, consider financially supporting the work that we're doing in community, and check out our merch. All right, I think that's all I have for now. Until next time, keep rising, stay progressive, and stay beautiful. I'll holla at you.